poppin', y'all? It's your boy Dino, of course, the CEO of Team I Am. Back on the Dino Show. I don't want to say a specific date of when I'm recording this. Just know it's gonna come out in perfect timing. This is 2022 at least. I'll let y'all know that. And Team I Am actually is going crazy right now. I actually predicted it before the year. I said this is our year. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I didn't just say it was our year because a lot of people do say that like it's my year. It was almost like I already knew it was gonna happen. It wasn't me thinking, oh, okay, what am I gonna do? It was almost like I knew things were set up on what I've done in previous years in my business, in my life, for this year for me to level up. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have to have that type of belief in order for you to be successful. You know what I'm saying? I actually on this show, like I'm about to bring on the stream a poppin' individual. We've had like college athletes. I mostly interviewed college athletes. You know what I'm saying? But this guy specifically, he's not in college anymore. Actually, has competed at the highest level, a level that a lot of you guys probably are trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to give too much detail into that. I'm going to just let him introduce himself. You know what I'm saying? Let you guys personally know everything he's been doing. What is poppin', Steven? How you doing?
What's up, dude? I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Just chilling right now. So for people who like have no idea who you are, let everybody know, you know what I'm saying, your name, like little background of what you do and what you've accomplished.
Yeah, so my name's Stephen Bastien. I do the decathlon in track and field and was fortunate enough to go to the Olympics this summer. Had a really good season, some big PRs. I went to the University of Michigan in undergrad. And just happy to be here.
What is your PR actually?
So I scored 84-85 in the decathlon.
84-85. And you know what's so interesting? Us as track athletes, well, me, I don't know anything about how, well, I guess I don't know a lot of events in track. They're good distances or good times. I actually don't know besides really my own too much. So 84-85, that's out of how many events? For people who like really don't even know track.
Yeah. So decathlon, you do 10 events over 2 days. It's you do the 100, you do long jump, shot put, high jump, 400. And then the second day is 110 hurdles, discus, pole vault, javelin, and the 1500. And you get scored points off of like a scoring table. Basically, it's kind of like a math equation for each event. Like if you run, let's say you run 11 seconds in the 100, you're going to get the same score every single time. So it's not subjective at all.
Okay.
They have like changed the tables around in the past. But yeah, you score points for how well you do in each event.
So you can kind of predict like, okay, long jump, I just jumped this, I know I'm gonna get this amount of points basically.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of multi-event athletes will like, there's little calculators online and you can put in like, oh, I've been doing good in this event, and you can sort of get a feel for what you might score based on how your training's going, or you can, as the meet's going, sort of plug in the numbers you've done and then plug in the numbers that you like expect to do or hope to do or what have you.
So I'm like curious because I was a long jumper, so I'm thinking, dang, like I'll go crazy in the long jump, and I already know there are people in the Olympics who jump further than me in long jump, even though I literally like could have went to NCAAs for long jump. There's still people who go to that level who like it's like, well, I'm jumping like this. So just for my thought, what are you jumping in long jump? Because that's the only event really I feel like I could even compete with you in that. Yeah.
So the long jump, I feel like I'm about to PR by a lot. So, but my PR is 765, or it's like I think 25-1 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many points is that?
I don't know. I need to type
really?
it.
We gotta look it up. Okay, so my PR is 25-11. In the Olympics, what was the winning jump? Gotta be like 27, maybe.
I don't think it was crazy far. I think it was like think it was maybe 8:30 or something.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's still very far.
Yeah.
But like one of the decathletes, those new like Nike shoes came out, and he jumped 8:23, I think, or something like that in the decathlon. So,
8:23.
yeah, pretty.
And we were talking about, like, you were saying you're small for most decathletes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's people who are bigger than you but jumping, like, okay, is there a specific size for the decathlete? Because I'm just thinking, like, long jump, we're not trying to put on weight, we're trying to be as light as possible. So someone to jump further and be big, like that's honestly extreme.
I'd say there's not too many people who are like much heavier than like 210 215 pounds. There's a few, but I'd say like as far as like height, it's pretty I'd say it's anywhere from like 5'10", on like an Olympic level, like 5'10" to like Carl Tilga, who's an Estonian, is 6'7", I think, or 6'8". He's really tall.
So does height matter? Don't you have to do
Yeah, I mean, height helps. It really just depends on if you can control it. But height, your levers are longer. You're able to. I mean, if you're able to get in the right positions, you got a longer lever to work with. If you're throwing something, or if you're jumping, your hips are already so high off the ground. You see a lot of really tall high jumpers. So a lot of times people can excel there if they're tall.
So like I be knowing, like, okay, so I'm on the runway as a triple jumper. I'll look at somebody and I'll be like, all right, there's no way this guy is gonna beat me. I already know, like, I'll see them warm up and stuff like that. When you're competing, since there's so many events, do you think like, okay, dang, this man just blew me out in the 100. I already know I'm gonna beat him in this event. I already know I'm gonna beat him in this event. Like, do you kind of predict before, like, you know who you're gonna beat before in certain events?
The way I'm not sure how most people think about it, but a lot of times I'll almost like think of each event as a separate competition, and I'll just try to like place as high as I can in each of the competitions we're doing, and if you just, especially at like the high level like that, like at a U.S. champs or at an Olympics, in every event someone's going to be pretty darn good at the event. So if you're out there just competing, a lot of times, or I've had my best performances when I just have fun and try to compete with people.
Okay, so when you're just trying to have, you're trying to just do your best. What is the first event you guys do? You guys like always do the first event?
Yep, it's always same order.
What is the first event?
100. It goes 100 long jump, shot put.
Okay, 100, then long jump, then shot put.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm trying to put like myself. Okay, the 100, I can run the 100. Okay, I'll get blown out. I already know that. The 100, I could do the long jump. The shot put is game over for me. Like I don't even know about that. So after shot put, what is it?
Goes high jump, then 400, and then
high jump. Okay, I jumped 6'6" in high jump. What do you jump? What are you jumping in high jump?
My best is 208 right now, so I think it's like just under 6'10" or something.
Okay. So have you jumped 6'10" before?
I don't think I think technically it is just like a quarter of an inch or something.
7.5 or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so high jump. Dang, I'm not even okay. High jump. That is just so sad. I'm thinking like I'm like maybe could be in the running. So after high jump, what is that? What is after that?
400.
Okay, so I feel like I wouldn't be tired after the 100 long jump, shot put, high jump. You said after high jump is what?
400.
Okay, yeah, nah. So after the high jump, 400, I definitely, okay. I feel like maybe the 400, I wouldn't be able to run my fastest time or PR after.
I think like people think about the decathlon, or like it has like this whatever thing is like being grueling, or like you're super tired. You definitely do get a little bit tired, but I'd say the part that makes it kind of grueling is I know, like, you've done long jump, triple jump. Sometimes you'll have a jump where you're maybe your like form isn't the best and it'll kind of hurt.
Yeah, yeah,
But then you only got a couple jumps left, and then you can take a break and go on to the next meet.
yeah,
With the decathlon, if you kind of get hurt, you kind of have to figure out how to like manage pain and be able to still like give it your all without like in circumstances where maybe your body doesn't feel the best. So I'd say, especially after the first day, a lot of times the second day it's like, oh, my knees will kind of hurt, or my ankle kind of hurts, or something like that.
What is the last event on the first day? The 400?
Yeah.
Okay. What was like? Okay, the 400. All right, you do the 400. How many minutes are in between these events?
So usually there's 30 minutes, but in like championship settings, I think because of TV, a lot of times they'll have like these weird breaks. So a lot of times there's like a larger break before the last event of the day, which is I prefer it, honestly. In like smaller decathlons, you only have 30 minutes. But then you get a little time to rest or like eat some food or like hydrate and like ready for the one that like takes up probably the most energy, I guess.
Before we get on to the second day of the decathlon, since you were saying like TV time, do you feel like it's weird how like, well, I'm just guessing, maybe in the Olympics, like, okay, you guys are doing your event and you feel like the only thing they maybe care about, like not the people who are competing, but like the refs or like the people who are controlling it are only caring about like maybe the TV time to make sure you guys are on the TV and stuff when you're just really there to compete. And like, it's like, they're like, okay, we got to wait this amount. We got to make sure you guys start exactly at this time to get you on TV. Like, is it weird to you or like they're only concerned about that maybe? And you're just like, I'm just really here to compete, honestly.
Honestly, you're so focused on trying to, maybe run through how you're going to execute X event in your head that you're not really thinking about it. You're kind of just, it's like, you're like sheep getting herded in a direction and you just follow the guy telling you where to go.
Yeah. So, okay, after the 400, you have, what is the next event the next day?
The next event is the 110 hurdles on the second day.
110 hurdles. So I like won states in hurdles in high school.
Oh, nice.
But them college heights is different. The college height is the same thing as the Olympic height, or does it go up?
No, it doesn't go any higher. Just three. Okay. It's 3 inches higher than what high school athletes would be accustomed to running.
Okay, so dang, hurdle. What is your hurdle time?
I've had like a wind dated 14:03 and then non-wind dated 14:24.
Okay, so for anybody out there watching, like trying to like think, okay, if I hit this time, then could they predict like that? Okay, like Steven hit this time, so I know if I hit these times, I should be in the Olympics. You think that's kind of what's going to be like even from now the next 4 years, or what?
Yeah, I'd say like right now is honestly, this is like the most stacked the decathlon has ever been on like a world scale.
Yeah.
The guy just set the Olympic record, and another guy from France. So his name's Damien Warner. He's from Canada. Look him up. He's a beast. And then another guy from France who has the world record. They're both competing at the same time. So the top end is really stacked. It's the best it's ever been. And then there's some like really talented guy from Australia, scored really high. He, I want to say he's like 21 or 2 or something. I don't know. He's young and he scored like 86 something. So it's I mean, who knows what the future holds? Honestly, you as a good idea as I do, but for sure, if you're scoring above 83.50, that's like a really good score. Or if you're like a high school athlete, if you can get to where you score over 7,000, that's a great like benchmark. The 7,000, 8,000, those two benchmarks are like things that people really strive for.
Okay, so above 83.50 is the goal for everybody. After the 400, what is it?
Hurdles.
Okay, hurdles. Then after hurdles is what?
Goes hurdles, discus, and then pole vault.
Dang, second day I would have so much trouble.
Second day is definitely harder. The first day you
So
can kind of just athlete it, and the second day is like more skill based. I feel like.
yeah, because I'm like the discus. So like you're saying like you're small compared to people. Like, are you like when it gets to discus, do you have to be big? Like, cause all right, I've done. My brother did discus in high school, and I've like done it not in a meet. I just did it
Messing around.
like yeah, and I was like, oh wow, like I could throw it really far. Like obviously not compared to people who actually do it, but like, what are you like compared to? I guess the best discus throwers who are decathletes. Like where
I
do
see.
you?
I see. Yeah. So I'd say about the best. If somebody throws over 50, like some people throw like 53 or 4 meters.
Mm-hmm.
That's like
170,
they're.
160 feet.
I honestly don't even know feet in
I just
discus.
know it's like times three, kind of
Yeah,
somehow.
it's like times 3.28. So if you got a
Yeah, yeah,
calculator,
yeah.
but I throw my best is like 42.50. So I'm about 10 meters below like the very best guys. Um, I'd say that's one where like probably now I'm like I'll end up being one of the like my worst events as far as like on a world scale when I'm competing
Mm-hmm.
with those guys. Um, but it's a place where I feel like I have room to grow and I've had like good practices. I just haven't put it together in a meet, I guess.
Cause in my head, I'm just like, obviously, I can't really compare myself too much to the decathlete because I'd never done it before. But like, I'm just trying to think like if I was at the meet, okay, like I do. I mean, thinking of the events compared to yours, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll get blown out and everything. But is there events where you're just like, dang, I just suck compared to these people, like, and I'm just better at other events? Like, is that possible for
So
you to
when
be
I was
that
like
bad
more
compared to others and then like capitalize on others?
when I was more like of a novice decathlete, and like first few years in college or when I was doing it in high school, there was definitely
Mhm.
events like shot put. I was getting just like beat up, discus getting beat up, hurdles. I used to get beat up.
All
Um,
three events?
yeah, honestly, it just was like ones where like it was almost like I just didn't have it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone's like, looking to do the decathlon or the heptathlon, don't get discouraged by like sort of sucking at some events, and just really try to be almost like be real with yourself about like, all right, why am I bad at this, and then just
Mm-hmm.
try to problem solve it. And but like at the highest level, there can't be, if you want to compete, there can't be an event where you're just getting beasted. Like if there is one, you have to have one where you're beasting everyone else.
So why did you even decide to do the decathlete, the be a decathlete if in high school there were three events you sucked at? Like why didn't you just say, okay, I'm gonna just focus on one event? You know what I'm saying? If you knew that you had to be good at all these events.
Um, Honestly, uh, I didn't really think about it that much.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing multi-event stuff when I was like fifth, in fifth grade actually.
Oh
Um,
wow, that's
and so
yeah.
I got recruited as a decathlete. I went and did the decathlon, and I didn't really think about it. I just tried to get better, and um, like there was a time where I thought, like I went to a small like mid-major school in Alabama called Samford, and there was a
Mm-hmm.
time when I thought like, oh man, like I probably won't ever make it to like the national championship, like NCAA's.
Yeah.
Um, but I just kept getting a little bit better every year, and then sort of just surprised myself, just sort of had fun with it. And
So how are you how like because you obviously have to have some type of confidence to do bad at an event and still can compete like the next day or the next event. Like what do you do mentally or just like think about when you may do bad in one event? You know you have other events to capitalize on, but like you said, you gotta kind of do good in every event. So like, what are you thinking when you do bad in one event? Like how are you able to bounce back from that?
Yeah, so in every decathlon, there's going to be something where you do like at least are disappointed in how something goes.
Yeah.
And that's something with decathletes that they have to sort of foster is like being able to bounce back from stuff or just sort of put it behind you and move on to the next thing and try to execute that. Because if you start sort of ruminating over, stuff that happened an event ago or yesterday or something like that, and like allowing it to affect your concentration, it just will kind of snowball. But if you can just say, yeah, screw it, I'm going to have fun at this next event and like be happy with the result that I have there. That's like one of the things that I've enjoyed about the decathlon a lot is you do a decathlon when it's done with, there's always something that you can be like, oh man, I'm really happy with how that went. It's just bound to happen.
Yeah. Is it possible to save yourself on one event so you could do better in the next? Is that even a strategy maybe?
I think when people, so speaking to the thing I said earlier, where like you kind of have to deal with being maybe like a little bit injured or something, or not like fully injured, but like something's painful. I think sometimes when people come into a meet and maybe they're already a little banged up, like for instance, I see a lot of times like if someone pops off like their first attempt in long jump, they just won't take the second two. And then stuff like trying to manage the number of attempts you're taking in like the high jumps. A lot of times people will like skip heights and that sort of thing. But like in this running events, you're pretty much just, giving it all you got. Really, I'd say if anything, it'd be like almost like a load management thing with number of attempts in like the jumping events.
Okay. And I'm already knowing like the 1500, are you like one of those people who like you're falling out at the end of like the 1500 or what?
So I in the past I've always been like kind of decent at the 1500, but just recently I think honestly the new like Nike shoes that came out, I do some like it like just makes it easier to run long distance.
Okay.
And this past year I've come like first or second in all the 1500s I ran. So
what is the kicks so people know, you know what I'm saying? Because I know people will be like, what the heck? If they make you faster, let me get them.
yeah, I think they're called the Zoom Victories or something like that. The
You
shoes
got a
that,
picture of them in your profile, like when you ran in them in the Olympics, or no?
I mean, yeah, you'd be able to see it, but if you could probably type in like cheat shoes or something and it would come up because there's been kind of some controversy around people wearing them, but I think it's the way that the sport is going to go.
How could there be a cheat shoe unless it has like bounce in it? Really?
They have bounce in them.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you haven't tried them on, if you can just even borrow a pair and just mess around with it, it's kind of the first time you put it on, you're like, okay. It's like it's kind of fun to just mess around with.
I feel like it almost can never really even be a cheat shoe because it's like, let's say I had a shoe that was bouncy and you have that same shoe. No matter what, if you're better than me in long jump, I feel like you're gonna win. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you got the same shoe, like it's like,
yeah, that's true. There's something with the long jump shoe. It seems a little bit different than. So I know with the sprint shoe, the bubble is whatever, not quite as wide and it's thicker. But with the long jump shoe, it's like thinner and wider. And like I don't, for whatever reason, so I like train kind of weird and do a lot of stuff barefoot. When I try to long jump in the new
sprint
Nike
shoes?
long jump shoes, no, the long jump ones, I can't. It's not as good for me as just wearing. I actually wear like distance spikes when I long jump.
What?
Yeah.
So you don't wear long jump shoes. You wear distance. I wear sprint shoes, honestly. Not the like 100. Oh, was it like 100-meter? Like they weren't Nikes, but like they were 100-meter like spikes. Honestly,
Yeah.
It's really not. You're not supposed to do that at all. Like
Yeah, I mean, hey, whatever works.
So you're saying distance shoes
Yeah, so because I do a lot of stuff barefoot, I run in like I think they're called, or I long jump and pole vault, and like I think they're called like Victory Elite 2s or something. And they're just like really, it's like a really thin piece of plastic and like a tiny bit of foam, and it just feels like I can like feel my Achilles well when I'm jumping, and whereas with the other shoes, it feels like there's like I don't know, I can't like feel my foot as well or something.
Yeah, you're not supposed to feel your foot hitting the ground. What the heck? There's no way you're not jumping and your heel does not feel like it's going to break.
It's forefoot, man, and the heel barely just taps it.
Okay. So maybe that's why I had no problems.
So I used to wear the same long jump shoes that everybody wears.
Yeah.
And I actually tried to mess around because Asics came out with a new long jump shoe that has it's like the plate's supposed to be flat versus where a lot of these shoes kind of have like a little curve in them.
Okay.
And I tried to mess around with that, and even that just, I don't know, just because I've trained the way I have for so long, it's like my knees and ankle will start hurting more when I wear bigger shoes than when I just wear the weird distance spikes. Interesting.
Okay, that's interesting. We definitely want to see the actual the spikes. I'm make sure I show people a picture. Like, yo, these are the cheap spikes. Like, wear these. You know what I'm saying?
I can go grab them real quick.
Yeah. Honestly,
I'll go grab them.
You got them with you?
Yeah, they're just right up the stairs. I can go grab them.
Oh yeah, facts. Go get them. Go get them real quick. Cause like I'm like me, y'all. I literally wore. I got an actually poster of the ones I wore. I wore the triple jump. Like, yo, there's people who triple jump with long jump spikes. That is idiotic to me. Triple jumping in anything that's not a triple jump shoe is crazy in my head, actually, because you'll break your foot so fast. I think long jumping in a sprint spike, I did that as well. Distance shoes, I remember watching the cross country people at Kansas with their spike, like any spike that you could bend, I don't think you should be long jumping it. Honestly, like it's just like.
So that's like the newest sprint one, and there's the little bubble I was talking about.
Nah, see the difference is you can't be long jumping in no spike that only has 4 spikes on it. You gotta have like 6.
Here, these are the long jump ones I got. They got 6.
Okay.
And then these are the ones that most people are wearing now that have a little bubble in them as well. They look pretty similar.
Oh, those look nice. Those are long jump ones. Those look nice.
Yeah, they do look pretty cool. And they got a little strap, and then you can see the little bubble in there, but it's thinner than the.
Yo, you know what? That reminds me of giving stories about spike lengths and stuff like that. I'm about to do a video on that because
yeah,
because your spikes, the length looks so small. Like obviously, like in the Olympics, they gave you spikes, right? Like the actual spikes you had to put in.
No, they were actually. You go to Mondo Tracks in America. They're like. Oh, you can't have these type of spikes or these types of. They're measuring your spikes. They're like inspecting your shoe. And in the Olympics, it kind of was just like, yeah, that's good. I don't know.
Yo, have you ever heard of the treetop spikes or whatever? Cherry top.
Yeah, the ones they're like a little.
So like a story. This is like really not good, but like they used to check spikes almost all meets.
Yeah.
I used to wear those spikes. And like when I used to go and get my spike, people, okay, this is like so bad, but people used to say, yo, get your spikes checked and then switch them out for other spikes or whatever. If you wear the treetop spikes,
I feel like it actually does bounce a little more.
You said what?
I feel like, so I used to wear the ones where it was like straight down a little thing and then like a little tiny one at the end.
Yeah.
And something about it, I don't know.
It bounces
feel like
you.
It bounces more. I think it's on the
like there's like one of those things that like goes in and pushes out. Like that's how it bounces. Yeah.
I think it's just because how it interacts with the wood or something. But
Yeah.
in high school, I always wore those, and I was like, oh, and it would make like it makes like a weird sound going into the track, and I don't know, I definitely did like it.
Yeah, you literally can run so much faster with those. So if you're in high school, like, yo, you gotta do what it takes, honestly. Because I was wearing those spikes. I know, like, so like there's meets you wasn't really supposed to, but it's like, yo, those spikes really help. There's like the longer the spike, the I think the faster you can run. Literally, maybe distance you shouldn't be running with longer spikes. I don't know. Have you done that before?
I know high jumpers. Some high jumpers will use 3/8 length. But I've always been fine with quarter-inch ones, and then in Javelin, everybody uses big boys, and those are 3/8.
Yeah, the spikes in my head is like literally that could be the difference between a PR and not a PR. I feel it's like a big difference in my head, at least when I was skating, with the different spikes. But yeah, besides the spikes, let's go all the way back to like I guess when you were first starting track. You said you were a decathlete. Like you started off as one?
So I first did track when I was like 8 years old. I would like long jump in Hershey track and field. I don't know if anybody watching is familiar with that, or if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
But it's like a little youth thing that would happen every summer, and I'd do that every summer, and then got into doing AAU stuff, and then did my first multi when I was in 5th grade.
And you were good from the beginning, you think, or what?
I would qualify for the AAU national or the USATF national.
Mm-hmm.
But I never came like top 8 or anything like that. I was one of the kids that I like hit puberty really late and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I had like a little kid body when I was like in 10th grade.
Yeah. But all right, so going to nationals, either way, you're good. So when you started, were you playing any other sport or not? You was just like, I'm just in track.
I played like football and basketball. But it was almost like my like brain wasn't done cooking when I was younger, and my ability to like find my place in the moving parts of like ball sports and like the situational knowledge and stuff. I feel like I understand it way better now than I ever did when I was in high school.
Yo, same. I feel like I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, like the like more like abstract of like what to do when to use instincts and when to just do your job and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It almost felt like the people who are watching who are into trying to get good at football or basketball or something like that, actually studying like plays and stuff like that, I think is important to try to form that at a younger age.
Yeah, fact. So, okay, did you have dreams to make it in one of those sports when you were in high school? Or was it specifically track? You were like, I know I'm going to just go far in track.
No, when I was a little kid, I thought I was going to be like Barry Sanders or something.
Okay.
I like wanted to be a running back really bad. But I just was like, I think I actually could have done it in high school. I think that was the one thing where it was like I had decent like instincts as far as running back, but I just was pegged as being too small, and that's the way it goes.
When you like, when you like at that point realize, because I feel like there's some people who are real with themselves at a young age and some people who aren't. I was real with myself freshman, 8th grade year, really going into high school. I said, I'm not going to the NFL. I'm not going to the NBA. I literally can make it very far in track without me even really doing track that long. Like, was there a point where you were like, I guess, more real with yourself? Like, I'm still focusing on track, or were you playing those sports like all through senior year?
No, I quit football and I got cut from basketball in freshman year. I couldn't shoot at all, honestly. I can shoot a little bit now sometimes, but I don't know. I don't think I never had a coach tell me like you got to like shoot a lot to get good at shooting. I thought that the kids that could shoot were just like, oh, they're just good at shooting and maybe I'll just get good. But I always had this idea, and I don't know if it was just through my dad or something, that like, oh, like it was like a foregone conclusion almost that I was gonna run track in college. It felt like that my
Mm-hmm.
whole life, and it just ended up happening. And it's probably something I don't know, almost like took for granted a bit. It was
Mm-hmm.
super big blessing, but always had confidence that that was gonna happen. And uh, yeah, I just kind of stopped doing football and basketball because I wasn't playing as much as I wanted to, and because of that, it wasn't fun because it felt like I couldn't contribute.
Yeah. And at what point, because obviously you went D1 in track and field, your senior year, like, was there like, were you winning like nationals your senior year or whatever? Like,
Yeah, so I'd say right at the end of my junior year, all of a sudden I was just like way faster. I don't know. It
yeah.
just was honestly just puberty. Um, and then my senior year, I went from jumping like 21 or let me think here. I think my junior year I went like 21 5.5 or something in the long jump, and then
Uh-huh.
my senior year I went 24 1. So I just had
Oh,
a
wow.
huge jump, and it happened. Senior year track. It's spring, so it kind of felt like schools had no idea who I was, and then we're kind of rushing to try to figure out like if they could move money around to give me a scholarship or something like that. So my felt like my whole whatever recruitment process was kind of like fast tracked because of how I progressed sort of at the end. And so I won states in Michigan in the long jump and came second in the pole vault. And then we did well in relays. I was on the 4x4 and 4x2. And then at the it was the New Balance National when I did. I'm not sure if it still is, but I came fourth in the long
Yeah.
jump in that
So
in
you
my
won,
senior
you
year.
said you won states in long jump?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was jumping like the longest I jumped in high school was like 22, honestly. 24 is like, yeah.
I don't honestly. It was like I like figured something out on accident, like just a lot
Were you doing
earlier than
extra
most people do.
practices?
So I think honestly is part of it was just because I started doing track so much younger than other people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then one day I honestly just like thinking about putting my foot right underneath me when I take off instead of it like being out in front of me. And I just
Oh.
ran as fast as I could, at the board. And just one day, it was pretty windy the first time I jumped 24.
Mm-hmm.
But then I did it later on in the season. I jumped like 23:10 or something my senior year.
Uh-huh. So you jumped 24, you like win states, you win states in Michigan. Where did like the college opportunities come into play? Like, because obviously you went to Michigan. Is that the first school you went to? Is that the only school you went to?
No, I got recruited to go to Michigan, but
Okay.
I didn't get in because I in high school I don't know what I was thinking. I just like didn't do my homework really ever
Oh
until like I would like
gosh.
wait until I had like a bad grade in something, and then I'd start doing my homework so I wouldn't fail.
Yeah.
But then they sort of started talking to me my junior year actually, and then they were like, "You just got to get your grades up." So I did well in school my senior year, but it ended up not being enough to get in. Um,
Okay.
but I ended up going to a school where I met a bunch of cool people and had a good time. It's called Samford. It's in Birmingham, Alabama. Uh,
Okay.
and so I went there for 2 years, uh, and then transferred after that to Michigan.
It's so because I've actually it's so interesting. Majority of the people I've interviewed so far in the past 60 days, they've all went one place and then went to a big D1. When you went to the first school, like, do you feel like that deteriorated any of your dreams at all? Like, or were you thinking I want to go to a big D1 after this? Like, were your goals to go transfer from the beginning or what?
Um, Honestly, so they kind of pitched it to me like you're gonna be like a big fish in a little pond, type thing. Uh, and they're like you're gonna be able to like I scored at the conference meet there like 30 something points one year. And it was a lot of fun doing all these events, and like I would win the long jump in the whatever the conference meet. I would place in like the javelin, place in the high jump. It was a lot of fun, but it just was too much on my body, I think. And
What do you mean by too much on your body?
like I on a conference meet that would go for over 2 days, I would do like 16 events in 2 days, and it just would be
oh,
like,
you would do? Would you do the decathlon and the individual events?
yeah, and it just was
Oh,
like
they was trying to get you to score everything.
it was just a lot.
That is honestly.
And a lot of my friends that ended up being there for the whole period of the 4 or 5 years, by the time they were done, their bodies were just hurting pretty bad. And like the college schedule already is pretty demanding as far as how many meets you're doing and how often you're trying to, compete at a really high level. But to do it where you're doing so many events, it just felt like almost like a flip of a coin whether or not I'd make it through the meet healthy. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that actually sounds like ridiculous. I don't know how I'd be able, like doing long jump 6, because there a finals in the decathlon for long jump?
No, it's
Or
so
no, it's just
decathlon
like,
only it's 3 attempts. So where in an event where you normally have finals like the throws or the long jump, it's only 3 attempts.
okay, so you're doing all these events, and then Michigan came into play. Was that like a dream come true for you, or what?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up, watching Chad Henne, Braylon Edwards play football, and um, you know, was just a Michigan fan. I grew up 15 minutes from Ann Arbor. And yeah, a friend of mine that was on the team sort of was like talking to the coach about me. And I got into contact with him after I had like applied and gotten in or whatever. And it was definitely a huge dream come true and was like surreal, especially at first, competing for a big school and being at a big school.
And I see, like, you're like, you know what? I feel like you like Michigan because, like, not why you like Michigan, but I can almost tell because, like, you're posting so much about Michigan after you graduate, and I can tell,
Yeah.
like, he's like a fan of Michigan. That is like the number one dream, literally, to really be a fan of your school that
Yeah,
you went to. So,
for sure.
and Michigan is so fire. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everyone has watched Michigan, you know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah,
almost like the
they're
same
definitely
story
getting
with me
better.
in Kansas. Like, I watched them play basketball literally the season before I went there. And I don't remember, like, even watching them play basketball before. It just happened to, this year I saw them play basketball, and then I got offered. I was like, what the heck? That's the school I just saw on TV. So, like, you getting to Michigan, you've obviously probably, like, you've seen them on TV too much because you grew up around there, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, you get there. What are you doing? Like, you have 2 years left, right? Only 2 years left?
I did 3 years in Michigan.
Okay, 3. How could you do 3 years?
I did. I redshirted. I guess technically it was like 2.5 or something, but I
Yeah.
was there for 3 years.
Okay, so
Yeah, but redshirted.
you get to Michigan, and they're only making you a decathlete when you're there. Like, they're only focusing
I
you on
would
that.
do indoors. I would long jump as well. Because when I was at Michigan, the Big Ten long jump just like wasn't that nice. So
Okay.
there was like an opportunity for me to maybe score points in the long jump, but it just never. I never ended up jumping well when I did do the open long jump at conference meet.
Okay, fat. So, um, it's like there has. When was the like in when you were the times you were doing in college? Were those Olympic numbers you were doing in
No,
college?
no, I don't think. So the best I ever did at NCAA's, I came in 4th. But I've just had like these jumps in performance that are like uncommon. Like when I went to Michigan, my PR was like what even was it? I'm not sure that I had scored. I think it was like 6,900, something like that. And then by the like a year and a half later, I had scored like just under 8,000. So that was like a huge jump that is not super normal. And then this jump that I had this past year, where I went from my PR was about 8,000, and that was basically from my senior year NCAA's where I came in fourth, and I added like another 450 something, 80, I don't know, 400 something points to
So
it.
for someone in college, what is a good decathlon like score for college? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, for college really to compete.
So a number me and my coach would always talk about, if you're trying to qualify for the NCAA meet, is if you can get like 74 or 75
That's
outdoors.
1,000 less than Olympics.
Yeah, that'll get you to the meet. And once you're at the meet, the decathlon is kind of like the distance events, or like the 800, where it's kind of any, like, depending on how the race goes, it's kind of anyone's, um like anyone can perform well and have a chance of being an All-American or something like that. Um
What do you
just
mean?
because
What
of
do you
the nature
mean?
of,
Anyone can have the chance. Oh, just
like,
because like
if
once you
you're
get there, it's like you never know what someone else is gonna do,
yeah, you
even
never
if
know
they're
what's going to
just
happen.
ranked in
Like,
there.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of injuries in the decathlon because of just the nature of the event, and then there's situations where there's people no height in certain events, and then height in the decathlon. It's like your decathlon's just busted. Like, you can't
Really.
overcome getting 0 points in an event and be
What
competitive.
is like the like opening height for long jump?
For long jump, you mean like high
Oh,
jump or
not long
pole
jump for high jump. High jump.
vault? So you get to choose. So that's a cool thing. But a lot of times that whole, like, playing this thing of trying to conserve energy, sometimes people will try to open up too high and then they won't make a height, and then the whole thing's wrecked. Or they just won't get, or they'll just foul 3 times in like discus or long jump. Or I even one time like stepped on the lane line in the 400 and I got DQ'd. So there's a lot of stuff where stuff out of your control can happen, and then it's just done for you. The day is done.
So what are you opening up in high jump? So like obviously I didn't do the decathlon, but me the highest I ever had to open up 6'2", I didn't make it. 6 foot, I did make it, but it was on some. My PR was 6'6", so you already know like opening up 6 inches under your PR is like you gotta be stupid warm. Like
Yeah, when I was like a freshman, I think I'd open up one 178, 180 or something like that. And I think that's
okay,
probably like 170, 180. It's
is it
probably like 5'10"
6.06?
or something like that. And then
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I open up normally like 190 or 193, and maybe this year I'll mess around with trying to do 195 if practices keep going well.
Okay, so that's like 6'2", 6'3". Yeah,
Yeah,
cause
190 I think
six.
it's about just under 6'3", and then 193 is like 6'4", 195 is like 6'5" or so.
And I know 2.0 is 6'6", because
Yeah.
I always like was like, okay, I can only jump 2.0.
Yeah, 2 meters
Like,
is like something where it's like, oh, like, I don't know. That's like a benchmark for people just because there's I don't know, 2.
yeah. So okay, you're saying in college you're still on and popping. Like, is there like when does the thought, like, let's skip forward to when the thought of the Olympics is going on? Like, did you have like 2 seasons of a pro? Like, were you a pro for a long time before you even had the chance? Like, how did that go?
So my senior year, I came in fourth at the USA Championships. Um, and then the following year is the year that I stepped on the lane line and got DQ'd. And then I came in fourth again in 2019. So I was always sort of right there as far as like recently the, like, I don't know, qualification standards have gotten like more. You have to do better to qualify. Um, but like when I was graduating, you only had to score 81 to qualify. So I was like felt like I was right there as far as if if it happens so that I'm in the top three with a certain score, that I'll go. So it just felt like I just need to get a little bit better, and then I got a shot to go.
Wait, so are you saying your first couple of USAs, was that Olympic trials or was it just USA championships?
So I did Olympic trials my junior year, and
Of college?
I got kind of
Okay.
injured, um, right at the end. Like my hamstring just started cramping up really bad in the pole vault, but I had a pretty good
Mm-hmm.
meet going there. I think I could have. I think if that hadn't happened, I would have come, top top eight in
Mm-hmm.
those trials. And I think that would have been a PR at the time. But that didn't happen. And then my senior year was when I came in fourth, and then following year got DQ'd in the 400, and then the year after that I had another like small PR and came in fourth again. And then the
So
COVID
how
year,
many Olympic trials did it take before you actually made? How many Olympic trials did you not make the Olympics
I've
that you were
qualified
going?
for 2 Olympic trials, and so I didn't do very well the first time because I had injury stuff, and then the second time I did is the best I've ever done in a decathlon.
So this past Olympics was obviously the Olympic trials where you did better. How many years outside of college were you at this past Olympic trials?
Um, 4 years. I graduated in
4 years.
2017. So, yeah, 20, like 18, 19, 20. Yeah, 4 years.
And because okay, 4 years, what do you feel like was the difference though? Like, how did you get better outside of college? Because I mean, some pro athletes, they go from college to pro and then they get worse. You know what I'm saying? Like, were you with the same coach? Like, obviously, you knew more 4 years after, so it's easier. Like, obviously, not easier either. It's nothing easy, but like, you know more, so obviously your events are getting better. But like, what is really the difference
Yeah,
that made
so
you
I
go?
sort of took a risk about 3 years ago. So I've been really into like how posture affects force production and
Uh-huh.
like leverage, and uh, worked with a guy who was learned from a person who started institute called the Posture Restoration Institute. And
Yeah.
I actually stopped lifting weights like 3 years ago and started just messing around with like the angles of how like my joints are basically interacting with one another. Um, and I started doing a bunch of barefoot stuff. That happened more in the past like 2 years more. Um,
But pause, because they told me when I first got to college, you are not this because you have not lifted weights. You need to get bigger. Your legs need to get stronger.
sure.
It's funny because I actually had in my phone like that was literally the number one question that before we talked, I was like, what like how is that even possible for you to stop lifting weights? Were you just doing push-ups? Like
No,
how
so
is
um, how I'll kind of explain it is like look at your wrist. You can go like this. Oh, man, this thing's so backwards, and you can get
yeah,
length through here, right? And
yeah.
then you can open up your wrist and maintain some of this length, and then get length on the other side. And then like your now the wrist is like a little bit more in tension, basically. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you can do that with every joint in your body, um, and kind of orient them that way. Uh, but also the like the main teaching of PRI is basically that our body isn't completely symmetrical. Like our right lung is bigger than our left lung, and like you only have a whatever a liver on one side of your body. Um, you see baseball pitchers, right-handed throwers are usually throw the ball harder, and then left-handed pitchers usually the ball breaks more. Like there's just little nuances to sort of how your body works, and the main thing they try to do is make it so if you're like pressure regulation and your uh, like your lungs are working like in an optimized way that it makes it so you're it's hard to describe. How do I say it? Basically, you can think of your body as almost like a bag hydraulic, and if that the like your lungs and the fact that they're filled up with air almost like helps keep you upright, and that like bubble of pressure is the thing that like good athletes like doink off of when they're running fast or jumping. Like you think of it like, oh, it's coming from your muscles, but like good pressure regulation uh, is really what makes athletes like you if you have bad pressure regulation, it'll be an athlete that's like super strong and seems like they have a bunch of potential, but they get like hurt a lot. And that was
Yeah.
that I had injury issues in college, so this kind of felt like, and like I got good at lifting weights, and it felt like it made me a lot stronger. And I do think that there is something to say about how it's like a cheat for time, as far as excuse me, just like laying muscle onto your bones. Um, but there's something about how it sort of has you balance in the middle of your range of motion while you're like outputting a bunch of effort that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when you're running or jumping, you're swinging from one side of the frontal plane, like you're going from your right side, swinging all the way to the left side and sort of like whipping back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I felt like part of lifting weights, how you sort of balance it in the middle like that sort of messed with how my nervous system interpreted force production. So I just stopped doing it and tried to optimize uh, that sort of like whippy, bouncy, uh, like element of movement.
So pause, because I mean I'm personally confused, but it's not even about me. I don't even run track anymore. Someone's gonna watch this and say, "Yo, I've stopped lifting weights." Honestly, like, do you
Maybe.
recommend people to stop lifting weights or like
Um,
decathletes? Maybe like
honestly, I think it's up to the person. If you feel like you have direction without lifting weights, um, I'd say it's something maybe to try. But uh, I feel like in most cases, like I would have never stopped lifting weights had I not met the people that I met and them giving me the
yeah.
information that they gave me. Um, like stopping lifting weights without some direction. So basically, um, like when you there's like a series of exercises that there's a bunch of exercises that this
Yes.
PRI like that you'll do, and it puts you in like a more neutral state as far as how your like body is interacting with, like different joints are interacting with different joints and stuff, and you'll get almost like an endorphin response in your brain from when something's a little more efficient. um so honestly, this past year, my training, or 2 years, my training was like a lot less organized, I guess, and I kind of would just, honestly, I almost just like trusted God with like what I was going to do each day. um and would just sort of chase this feeling of like, does that feel like it's more holistic in how I'm like producing force, and does it feel
Yeah.
like I'm getting that positive feedback from what my body's telling me, and sort of just chasing almost like uh, this idea or feeling of like trying to get to where my body is like more optimized, I guess. That's the best way I can put it.
So you're an Olympian and you don't lift weights. What is the other option outside of weights? A weight vest? Because I do weight vest workouts. Is that weight still?
I mean, like there's a lot of different stuff that people do. Like weight, I personally haven't done like putting a weight vest on, and I wouldn't necessarily call that weightlifting. I'm talking more like Olympic lifts. The
Mm-hmm.
stuff that, like when I do cross training, I have like a pulley machine in my garage, and basically I'll set something up where it kind of looks like a different event, like I'll set it up real low for the shot put, and I'll like almost like go through a shot put motion with like 200 pounds on the machine. And then I'll do one with javelin. I got some like discus stuff that I've made up, and then I'll do stuff where I have like a mace. It's basically like, so I guess I'm lifting a weight technically, but it's like I'll be like swinging around a mace to try and like having bad patterns of movement for a long time makes it so, you know, your knee, if you, like you're jumping, right, your knee is like kind of hurt a little bit for like whatever 8 years or something like that. You get these little calcifications, and you can basically almost like bending a credit card back and forth to like get it to wiggle into a better spot, just moving around and breathing and trying to almost with your lungs pull it into a better place as far as its orientation to the stuff around it.
So I just hope you know, because I'm like listening and I'm like, somebody is gonna have to break down what you're saying, because I'm like, someone, first of all, okay, you said it, like it's possible for somebody else to stop lifting weights. I'm just trying to think. I don't know how good I would have been if I didn't lift weights. That's why I'm like, okay.
I can't say that either that you know that I'd be the same athlete without the period that I lifted weights, because I can't go back and never have done it.
Yeah.
I think hormonally, like you can go through the studies that like squatting like boosts testosterone and stuff.
Yeah.
But I also changed the way that I eat a little bit to try to like I drink a lot of unpasteurized orange juice, which has something called like aromatase inhibitor in it, and so it blocks estrogen, and that's supposed to be good for like increasing testosterone and stuff like that. But yeah,
where do you get that from? You said
I buy it from Trader Joe's. I don't know if there's Trader Joe's all over the place, and I know they sell it at Whole Foods a lot too, but at Whole Foods it is like stupid expensive.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's is still kind of expensive, but it's, I don't know. To me, it's worth it.
Okay. So, okay, that's one little hack. Okay, so I'm just so stuck on, because I know people are gonna hit me up like, yo, so people are gonna hit you up first of all. They're not gonna hit me up like, yo, what do I have to do?
Yeah, I mean, and I do like personal training stuff, and I'd be open to talking with people, you know, over a Zoom or something, and you can DM me on Instagram or whatever, and I can try to give people some direction if that's like a way that people want to take it. And I know there's a community of people. I have friends that train the same way, or I have a friend who is like a throws coach at Boston University. I think he's still lifting or like having his athletes lift, but he is paying respects to or implementing like some of the similar ideas that I am, as far as trying to get his athletes better. And you see some of the stuff that like I know, or I've heard that like Steph Curry uses someone from PRI. Like you'll see when there's a thing, whatever, all the muscles that are on your thorax, and we're talking about this pressure stuff, comes up through your neck, like how your teeth get like crooked is like partially because of how you move. And there's this thing where people get to where they don't have like molar contact on their left side, and it kind of like puts their nervous system into like a wonky state where they like become more injury prone. And you'll see whenever Steph Curry is shooting free throws, he's chewing on his mouth guard on the left side of his mouth. So it's kind of getting out there, this like idea. And I think with like there were two of the trainers at the Olympics that were there like paid for by USATF who are familiar with PRI and know it really well.
What is
Um,
PRI? What is it?
it's called the Posture Restoration Institute. You can
Oh,
look.
okay.
They have a website. They actually, I just saw it recently, but they put out like a free webinar where he sort of the guy who started Ron Hruska sort of breaks it down. He's talking for like in the times of COVID, like trying to get to where your like lungs are like functioning better, so that honestly, like this whole idea, like if your lungs are functioning better, they have they have like a huge relationship to like your heart. It makes it so like mechanically, if you do get some type of like infection, like gunk in your lungs, you're able to get it out easier. So he's talking about it in uh as it relates to COVID a little bit. I haven't watched all of them, but I think that'd be if anyone's interested, you go into their website and watch, and they have free like basically like 9.5 hours worth of video where he's just talking about his concepts, and you could pick up a little bit from watching that.
Facts. Yeah, because I definitely wanted. It's funny because I definitely had to ask that question about the lifting. So you definitely gave game, even though like I literally don't even understand how that could work.
It takes almost like a let me show you kind of thing, because trying to explain it with words, it's just like we experience motion like in a way that really isn't words. So having an experience with it is a lot of times more, you can start to get an idea, and then the words make a little more sense after that.
Facts. So I want to touch on specifically like you're at the Olympics, you know what I'm saying? And I know like when you okay, first of all, at what point did you know you were going to the Olympics during the decathlon at USA trials? Was it like after a certain event, right? You knew before the end?
Yeah, so you have a good idea. After the pole, so I had finished pole vault and I went like 495 or something. And then I went out and I was in the first flight of the javelin. So we're throwing javelin, and at the start of the javelin, Harrison Williams, Zach Zemek, they both were going off in the pole vault. And I think he went. I think Harrison, which is the guy that I really was trying to like, I thought I needed to beat him, and I thought Zach was like, I thought it was a foregone
What place
conclusion
were
that
you in
Zach
at
was
this
going to beat
point?
me. I think I was in. I think I was in fourth or third or something like that. So I'm getting ready to throw the javelin, and I'm seeing him pole vault so high, and pole vault is like the one event in the decathlon where it's almost kind of arbitrary, like which events give you more points than others, because I mean, who's to say which event is worth more points, but it just is the way it is. And pole vault, you get a crap ton of points. So I'm seeing him vault super high. As I was starting the javelin, I was like, oh crap, it's done. I'm not going to make it. And then
so wait, first of all, before you start this, sorry, why are they pole vaulting while you're doing the javelin?
So whenever I've done meets at Hayward, or just with the USATF officials at the national meet, they'll do where there's 2 flights of pole vault. There'll be like one height where people jump a little bit higher, and then one pit where people jump a little higher, one pit where people jump a little bit lower. And once the first, like, let's say there's 24 people at the meet, the first 12 people that get out, they get them ready, and then they'll go and start warming up for the javelin, just so the meet it's like a
I get what you're saying. Okay, yeah.
What's the word? It's like a logistical thing so that it doesn't take as long, basically.
Yeah. So you were already out in the pole vaults.
I was out in the pole vault, yep. Okay. And I was going and warming up for javelin, and I was like, dang, it's done. I had a really good meet, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And then because like you're in the middle of the meet, you don't really know where the points are sitting exactly. But I just knew that he just scored a crap load of points pole vaulting that high. And then I PR'd in the javelin. I threw like like a 4.5 meter PR or something. And I was like, oh, dang. Like, I didn't even really think about that. I just was excited that I PR'd. And then after that, my coach kind of met me back there, and he's like, that was really good. He lived in Alabama for a really long time. I think he's from Illinois, but we always imitate his voice. And he was like, well, that was a pretty good throw. And then he sort of just told me like you're in a good position. And then I went through the points. I was like, dang, that throw really like set me up, and that like changes things basically. And then
Yeah.
I think Harrison was in some pain, and he didn't throw the javelin super well. And so after that event, I was in third, and it just was basically like the 1500. Like, he can't beat me by X number of seconds. So the only thing that would have stopped me at that point, just because I'm pretty decent at the 1500, was like cramping up in the 1500 and not being able to finish it or something like that.
So it's just you and one person. You know already what the score is at the 1500.
Yep, at the start of the 1500, it's like I had, let's say, 80 points on him or something like that. So it's just like he can't beat me by, let's say, like 15 seconds or something like that. So I just sat on him the whole time, and then right at the end, I felt really good. And
that had to be before you get to that. That had to be like, was it fun sitting behind him, knowing like I don't gotta beat him? Like he's like probably like, dang, I gotta like blow this guy out, because like he must know that you're the person that has to like.
Yeah, he knew.
Blow you out.
Everybody that was in the decathlon knew what the situation was, and like people before the 1500 were starting. I was like, dude, you're gonna go to the Olympics, and I was like, oh my god, I'm like, and I just was like super excited. And then when it actually happened, it was like I never really experienced anything like it. It was like I was like high off of just like brain drugs. It was crazy.
Yeah. And all right, so you're running behind him the whole time. Are you getting tired at all during this? Getting like, was there a point where you're like, you're right behind him, you're like, damn, I'm like 5 steps back now, 10 steps back now? Or were you like just like behind him just the whole time? Like,
I was behind him, but I gave just so I. There's something about when you're like right up on someone and like you got to kind of worry about their feet, like where your feet are going and their feet. That's like a little bit stressful. So I gave him a little bit of space.
Yeah.
And then if I ever felt like he was pulling away, I just give it like 4 hard strides and like catch back up and then sort of ease into it again.
Yeah.
I definitely like if you're running a 1500, like you're getting tired, but I was in some weird zone and just was like super focused on just trying to run fast, and was super happy that I was in a position where I could go to the Olympics.
So you crossed the finish line where? Behind him, in front of him? Like what?
No, about 200 meters left. I passed him, and then I kicked like pretty hard. I tried to catch the guy that was in first.
Were you smiling when you were running? Because I would have been like.
No, there's a video of it though. Like when I'm crossing the line, and I just like screamed when I crossed the line. I didn't even like realize I did it really. I just was crazy hyped up about it.
Yeah. Did you take your shirt off and like throw it into the stands and just run around?
No, no, I just did one of these and like was like, oh my gosh, and then was excited.
Facts.
And then I just laid on the ground, tired as heck.
It's like that must be an amazing feeling, honestly. Like literally, you're like, okay, now I made it to the Olympics. Obviously, like amazing. How long was the Olympics after that? Like 2 weeks? You had like 2 weeks to train, then you went, or what? It was.
We had I think about 6 weeks actually.
Okay.
And there definitely was something about after that meet. Even like everybody being really excited for you, and like everybody you've ever known was like trying to congratulate you. Was almost like a little bit stressful trying to like calm back down into like, all right, I need to like recover from this and get back into training. So that was definitely something, moving forward that I'm gonna, try to be aware of if I do, go to more meets at big meets and stuff like that, is sort of trying to handle that better, because there's something about like coming off this huge like high and then trying to like, all right, let's get back to normal. Like job's not done. I'm trying to do well at this meet. That it was a what's the word? It was a challenge that I didn't foresee.
Mm-hmm. And I definitely understand. It's like learning experience with everything. But obviously, now, like for the next Olympics, you know what I'm saying? Always get better. And when you get to the Olympics, let's like fast forward to that. Your plane lands in the Olympics. And like, how long were you there for? Like a week before you competed? The day before? Like, how
Yeah,
long?
so we had less time than in a normal circumstance. I think in a normal circumstance, like non-COVID, we would have gotten there probably about a month early and had like a training camp. And there were still some other
Okay.
countries that did that, but the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
elected not to do it. So I think I got there. It was either like 7 or 10 days before I started competing.
Uh-huh.
But I think the time change from here to Japan was not as bad as the time change from here to like Europe. When you go to
Mm-hmm.
Europe, it's like a complete switch where um like like 12 o'clock in Europe is like 6 in the morning here. And I don't know, something about that switch is really hard, but because
Yeah.
it was like a full 12 or 13 hours difference or whatever, it's almost just like I don't know. It was easier to get used to the time change there than it was going to Europe.
Yeah. So you're at the Olympics and like because I want like people who are like trying to go to Olympics almost to like know the experience. Like, did you get your like USA uniform before you got to the Olympics, or like when you got there? Like,
Yeah, so we had like basically got size for stuff when we were in Eugene. They'll
mm-hmm.
like take you through, show you all this stuff, and you just tell them, "Oh, I want a large in this or a medium in that or what have
Yeah.
you," and you get like a kit from the USATF. But then when we got there, there was like a bag full of polo stuff, and then a bag from I think the USOPC gave it to us,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all Nike stuff, really nice Nike stuff. And then there was stuff from like Oakley, Samsung gave us like earbuds and a phone.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
they
you got a
definitely,
phone?
yeah, we got a phone, and
Okay.
then
So if you
and
go to
then
the Olympics, you go get a phone. Well, maybe probably something better next time. Like,
yeah, who knows? Because my roommate Chris Bernard, he went to the Olympics in 16, and he said that like we got more stuff this time than they did
really?
last time. Um, so yeah, and then also Intel sent us a computer afterwards when we got back.
So you
I'm
getting
actually
taken
using it right now.
you getting taken care of. So like you pull up to the Olympics, you know what I'm saying? Like what before you compete, like before you compete, did you do anything differently? Like or like were you just calm? Like how did you feel like before you actually stepped on the stage?
Yeah, so there was something about it was a little bit stressful. I think I know if probably I mean you went to NCAA's the first time you go to NCAA's you're kind of like it's like you're I don't know you almost get like starstruck by all the
Yeah.
media stuff and stuff like that. Um, but just because I'd experienced that from growing up, going to big meets and stuff like that, I felt like I had a pretty good handle on not getting like wigged out by like Olympic rings being everywhere and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But it definitely felt like um, in the village, like because it's so many people sort of packed into one place, that it was kind of tough to like find some space like by yourself.
Uh-huh.
Um, so my routine felt like it was like a little bit messed up because of that, or I had to alter it a little bit. Um, but in preparing, I mean, they have like basically they bring like a staff of like trainers and chiropractors and athletic, uh, whatever, physical therapists, stuff like that. Um, so I actually had like something right before the meet, like my ankle started hurting like crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and great team of people. Like I like for like almost a year and a half, it didn't get any type of like body work done, and I was just like, well, this thing hurts, and I just
Yeah.
like, can you guys help me? And they did a good job and got it to where I could roll out and do what I compete to the best of my ability.
Did you compete against anybody who you used to watch on TV? And you never competed against them before, and you seen them and you're like, oh my God, I'm really with this person right now.
So I had, Damian Warner has been around for a while. He's the guy who won and set the Olympic record. He was competing when Ashton Eaton was the world record holder and stuff.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of success at a young age. Actually, when I was at Stanford, there was a meet in California, called it was in Santa Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
And he was at that meet. So I had run against him one other time. But yes, so he's
a USA athlete or no?
He's Canadian.
Okay.
So I saw him. I mean, he was at that meet, and he's someone that I grew up when I was a little kid. I was seeing him competing, and not a little kid, but when I was high school and stuff, I was seeing him competing and looking up to him and being like, "Wow, he's so good" and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you finally get to compete against these poppin' athletes on stage, so you finally get to the arena. You guys are competing. When you're competing, do you feel like you had more fun at the Olympics? Were you obviously people care about the results, but at that point, did you care about your results?
Yeah, there's a weird someone made a post about this. It was some woman, I don't know what event she did, but there's something where you fulfill some dream to go to the Olympics by qualifying, and that feels so good, but then you're still a competitor and you go to the Olympics and you're like, shit, I want a medal. And you it's something that was plausible. If I would have PR'd by a little bit more, I would have had a chance. So the competitor in you is kind of bummed or something, but at the same time, you're keeping perspective about this is the Olympics, compete to the best of your ability. But I was just spending time looking around and just damn, I'm at the Olympics, and just trying to enjoy it as best I could, because all just the nature of how life is, moments are so fleeting, and you got to try and just take it in, and because I nobody wants to be there and be the person that's pissed off while they're at the Olympics. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I know you were saying something about that. So do you do a clap when you jump, or when you do the pole vault or anything like that?
So I used to be strictly against it. But I got to where now I do the clap, but because there was no fans, some people tried to do the clap. There just really was not many people there when the decathlon started. Some people tried to do the clap for the long jump, and it just wasn't loud enough, and then people are just screw this, and then it just kind of stopped. So that was one thing that was a little different about this Olympics. Normally you clap, it'd have been thunderous at a normal Olympics, but normally I have gotten out to where when I long jump, I like to have the clap. It feels like it helps me.
Yeah, facts. That's honestly amazing. So you at the Olympics, what place did you get?
I came in 10th.
Sheesh, what the heck? Do you pull that I gotta ask, do you I already told you be go to a restaurant after I just came from the Olympics, so whatever you have on the menu, just what I'm saying, just bring it.
Right, yeah, I probably should pull the card a little more than I do, but I don't.
Yeah, do you pull the card at all?
I don't. But try and
get you pulling the card.
I probably should pull the card some.
Yes, do you know there's people who I say I was training for the Olympics, and then try to flip it to say I was in the Olympics just because they want to be able to say that they know someone that was in the Olympics, literally. So you to actually be there is okay, I know female wise you had to have been to female.
Oh, I'm married. I'm married.
Okay. Were you married before the Olympics?
Yep.
Facts. Okay, so we don't want to touch on that subject. So you're at the Olympics, and after you compete, did you have to leave like right after that, or what?
Yeah, so I don't know if there was a rule or something, but they were wanting us to be gone within 48 hours of our competition like being done.
Uh-huh.
And it seemed like they were pretty like strict about that. So didn't really like you hear about how the Olympic Village. There's like people are having parties and celebrating and stuff like that. Wasn't really any of that I saw. I know I heard like the baseball team were like having fun together once they were done, but it's like they got whatever a whole group of guys there together.
Yeah.
But it was kind of just like it was almost like as the week went on of the competition, people were like there was less and less people in the cafeteria, and by the time I left, it was like a lot quieter. Um, when I was getting ready to leave.
Okay. I definitely feel that. Did you see anybody in the Olympics that like wasn't maybe in track and field that you knew that you like was like, what the heck? I'm really like here with this person.
Yeah. So the one the one that was the most Yao Ming was like a coach for the Chinese basketball team, and I saw him briefly. I felt sorry for that dude. He like even we're at the Olympics, like all the whatever some of the best athletes in the world are there, and it still was um everyone wanted a piece of Yao Ming, and he walks through and just like he's like 7'6", everyone's just like, huh,
Yeah.
like he just attracts attention, and I, I'm not sure of this, but I think I saw like Mondo Duplantis, he's a really good pole vaulter, like go up to him and be
Yeah.
like, "Can I take a picture with you?" And he was like, "No, no," like he just is like you can tell that wherever he goes, constantly he's just having people all over.
Yeah. I would have had to get a basketball and dunked on Yao Ming real quick in the cafeteria
Yeah,
or something like that.
even now he probably just go like this. His rim's probably at his elbow.
He's forever a legend, honestly. So you get to Olympics and you're like, okay, that is like a dream for so many. Now, when you get back to the USA, how does it feel when you touch down? Like, and you're like, I just came for the Olympics. Is it like, just tell me how did you feel when you got back to the States?
Yeah, there was something. You know, in college, you have a whole team of people. You do well at like a um a conference meet or an NCAA's. You have a whole group of people that you can kind of celebrate with and have like some fellowship with, and you all kind of understand one another, like what it took to work really hard and accomplish something.
Yeah.
And you almost get this like nice like closure of we all did that. We all know we like you can see that everyone knew what everybody did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like kind of a beautiful thing about like having a team in college, and something that like if you're a college athlete to not take for granted.
Yeah.
That having so many people around you that are all doing the same thing and are all sort of struggling to try to achieve their goals
Mm-hmm.
is something that like doesn't really exist in life anywhere else. And it feels like, oh, this is just what it is when you're in it. Uh,
Yeah.
but like came home from the Olympics. Uh, I still have friends in town and stuff, and I hung out with them, and they're like, oh, that was so cool. They like congratulated you and stuff. Um, and obviously, wife was happy to see me and stuff like that. But it just life kind of just went on, and obviously having cool opportunities, now to like talk with you and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But something about it was almost like I like in my head I like thought of like the feeling that I would get when we'd be done with like a Big Ten championship or a
Mm-hmm.
NCAA championship, and having all those friends to hang out with after that. Uh, and I didn't quite get that, and something about it was like I don't know, I like wanted that, but it just didn't.
Yeah, and I feel like it's like that. as just being a pro athlete in track and field because you're not really on a
It's
team. And
lonelier.
yeah, and that's what like I really want to bring into track and field, that like that type of aspect, because like basketball, like if you go to the USA, like if you go to Olympics, you're going back, you're playing with a team though, like literally. Track and field, it's like you're not really training with a team. Like sometimes people have teams, maybe like 3 or 4 training partners, but it's not like a whole community. You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely something I want to bring like into the track community, like even interviewing people, getting like the knowledge of them before, after, like there's some way we could bring that aspect into the pro world, really. Um, and it's interesting now that it's what, like 6 months after Olympics. Like, how are you able to train knowing you're not competing at the Olympics right now? You're competing at a meet that maybe like half the people will, like 99% of the people will never even go to the Olympics. Like how does that feel? Does it feel like a dual meet now, you think? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm still going to, the little, like, I got to meet Saturday, or I'm doing it at Michigan. It's like, just like some regional schools are coming. I think maybe a couple of schools from California.
mm-hmm.
It just feels kind of like uh, really the same thing you did before, but there definitely is something where, um, hmm, I don't know. Yeah, something about it does feel a little bit different, but I can't put my finger on exactly why.
Yeah. So then what would you say is next for you, like just in general, like I guess in this season, like what are you trying to do this season? We have you, when is the next Olympics? Next year?
Next Olympics is Paris,
Next year? Or when is it?
2024.
So 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, but we got
Okay.
we got the Winter Olympics coming up this year, so that'll be fun to watch.
Winter. So in a year is the Winter Olympics?
The Winter
Or
Olympics, I think all the qualifications like are pretty much wrapping up now, and then I think they're starting within like a month here. So
oh, the Winter Olympics are actually in the winter? Well, I guess it's the winter now. So the Winter Olympics are fun to watch. The
they
skiing
are,
stuff, like when they do the flips and stuff, like yeah, that's
and I think
ridiculous.
Sean White, he qualified again. I had a
Oh
bunch of fun watching him last
yeah,
time
he's a
doing the half
legend.
pipe. Dude's a
Yeah,
beast.
yeah, he's a legend, definitely. So yeah, this season, like, cause like I said, like working, this is like a first interview. This is like an amazing interview, but I definitely want to like interview you after me or before me, like, you know what I'm saying, going further. But this season, like, do you have any goals for this season specifically? You know what I'm saying? You could leave us with possibly.
Yeah, for sure. So my goals are just to keep on, working on the same things that I see, like, as me potentially getting better, getting a little bit better at hurdles, getting a little bit at pole vault, a little bit better at all the throws, stuff like that, and just try to chip away at, some of these things and score a little bit higher. And I'm hoping to qualify for Worlds. It's going to take place in Eugene, Oregon. So
Yeah.
um, that'll be a lot of fun, and hoping to try and get a medal there. That's really my next goal.
Heck yeah, yeah. We definitely getting that on and popping. So you went to the Olympics, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's dream, so many people's dreams who don't even play sports. What advice would you give to somebody who's 16, who's trying to get to the Olympics? Just any advice. It could be about anything. What is a piece of advice you would give them?
I would say, really just to be disciplined. Maybe sometimes doing stuff even if you don't want to. Really, in my experience, the not wanting to is really just like a getting off the couch and going to the place. But like once you actually get there, normally it's always fun. And I'd say
Mm-hmm.
just to try to enjoy the process. And something that I think helped me out a lot once I got to Michigan was trying to say at the end of the day, like, what did I get better at today? And if I didn't get better at anything, like, what's like a one sentence thing I can say of like, all right, what needs to fix so that the next time I will be better? Like once we're done. And I think like keeping track of like, am I getting better or am I not getting better?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Keeping track of that, and something about if you can chain together weeks and weeks of like every day it feels like I'm getting a little bit better. uh
Mm-hmm.
that'll do a lot to boost your confidence, and also you'll actually be getting better, and you'll be able to achieve your goals better that way.
Facts. I definitely like that. It's definitely giving game. Like I said, yo, I'm mad excited just to even be able to interview you. Obviously, have you in Team I Am. Like this interview is definitely gonna motivate a lot of people. What I'm going to do